All right, everyone. Welcome to our April 26th meeting, in person or in hybrid person, and I will call this meeting to order. You can all please rise and join me for the pledge, and we'll use the flag and the official flag in the back there. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was cool. I got to actually hear everybody. Standing in my garage, wondering if everybody else is actually joining me. Standing up. All right. So, let's see. What do we got to do with our? We're in kind of a virtual mode here with people in person. So we have limited people in the room with us. Make sure, as Bo has said, make sure you're all muted on all your devices and everything. And this meeting still is being recorded since we do have people out there in the Netherlands. So, if you're in person, and we do have a emergency, our main exit would be out to the left here. That's the direction that we are looking at to go out. So exit out to the left area if we have an emergency. All right, next up we have our vision and mission statement. Larry, can you read that for us today?
Sure. Our vision, our community inspires and prepares each student to thrive. Our mission, in connection with our community, the Spring School District empowers staff to inspire, hope, and provide flexible, innovative learning opportunities in a safe and respectful environment so each student thrives.
Awesome, thank you so much. And next up, we have the acknowledgement of the land we stand on. I'm going to read through that. We acknowledge this land we stand on. The Spring School District administrative and school buildings sit on the ancestral land of the S'Klallam people. While the S'Klallam traditionally come from one nation, history has led to the formation of three sovereign S'Klallam tribal governments. The Lower Elwha S'Klallam tribe, located in Port Angeles, the Jamestown S'Klallam tribe, located in Sequim, the Fort Gamble S'Klallam tribe, located in Kingston. The district's primary partnership was the Jamestown S'Klallam tribe. Today, the tribe and district share a partnership that includes official consultation on program and funding changes that may directly affect American Indian and Alaska Native students, as well as holistic service planning for students to remain successful in their educational journeys. And I'd like to add today, on behalf of the board and the district, our hearts go out to the tribal council member, to the loss of the tribal council member, Kurt Nelson, and the family, and to the tribe. As a SPIN graduate, exceptional member of our community, and just a huge loss for our community. And the board and the district would just like to give condolences to all the family and community for this tremendous loss. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve our minutes.
Thank you.
Both, you want both meetings there first?
Let's go with our regular meeting minutes first.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve our last board meeting, which was April 12th minutes.
Now, second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign? Okay, our policy workshop minutes.
I move to approve the April 14th policy workshop minutes.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, on this vote and the current vote or the previous vote, I should abstain. I was not able to participate. My apologies.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be abstaining for the policy workshop meeting as well.
Okay. All right, so all those in favor of the policy workshop minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Right, thank you. Okay. Moving on, I believe that we do have a slight change to our consent agenda. That is in our, take a note, then fine.
Yes, we are asking to amend the consent agenda to replace the human resources document with a corrected one. What happened was on the, I believe it's the last page, we asked, we need to hire the coaches. They didn't resign. It's not last season. We need those coaches badly. So if we could hire them instead of having them resign, we'd appreciate it. So we will put a corrected, take out resignation and put in hiring. Everything else stays the same on the HR document.
Got it.
I'd move to approve as amended.
Second?
Okay. Any discussion? All right, is all those in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right, wonderful. I gotta say, Director Koo, you're coming in loud and clear here, so very good.
Good to hear. Thank you.
All right, so with that said, if we could get a motion on the actual consent agenda.
I move to approve the amended consent agenda as amended.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right. Next up, we have public comments. And today we can have public comments in person. And I think that we have our list with signatures of who has signed up.
Yes, we do.
We have some guests with us today that would like to speak, I believe.
Mr. Chair, do we have the guidelines? that we normally-
That's agreed for that point.
Thank you. Yes, they're right here. Thanks, Bo.
All right, so just as a reminder, the board welcomes the opportunity to hear public comment and allows time for the purpose at each regular session meeting under public comments. Each individual has up to 3 minutes. A group of individuals may combine their time up to 10 minutes with one spokesperson for the group. Individuals who wish to speak or combine their time need to sign on the clipboard. The maximum time allotted for all public comments is 30 minutes. And in the interest of time, order, and respect, complaints or charges about employees are not permissible. And the board superintendent of district personnel typically do not engage in direct conversation or feedback during the meeting. Questions and comments from those addressing the board may be referred to staff to follow up later. And we have up, Phyllis.
Thank you. My name is Phyllis Meyer. I am on the board of the Swim Schools Alumni Association, and we have a proposal that I believe has been submitted to the board, but it's been a while, and because of the pandemic, everything's kind of been thrown off. So I'd like to read the original proposal, if that's okay. This was presented to the board. No, I'm not going to go there. It was written March 12, 2020. The board of the Swim Schools Alumni Association would like to propose to the Swim School District that they name the Swim High School football field / stadium Myron's Field in honor of longtime Swim resident and supporter Myron Teacher. The alumni board respectively urges the Swim School District to support this proposal. Thank you, Phyllis Fire. I'm not good at this. I have to read. I'm not good at speaking and thinking at the same time. Over the past 6+ decades, Myron has become well-known and loved by hundreds, if not thousands, of swim residents, past and present. Not because of the challenges that he faces, but in spite of them, and because of the wonderful person that he is. He is affectionately known by many as Mr. Swim. Our motto during this has been, if you don't know Myron, you don't know swim. And I realize a lot of you haven't lived in swim for very long. I've lived here my whole life, as has my aunt, not Rose so much, but, and I have, when I talked to Rob Clark, when this all started, he told me a good thing to do would get 10 or 12 emails from people in support. I have over 150, and I have another 150 just word of mouth likes, and that's just not hardly even touching what we could get. And people are so, I did not get one person that said, no, this is not a good idea. Everybody is so in support of it, and if you haven't lived here, you're not going to understand what Myron did, does, is, and that can be discussed. I don't expect this to get voted on right away, because we need to be able to explain more to you just who Myron is. So, unless you have any questions, kind of all I have for right now.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Something for look at in the future. All right, with that said, do we have any other further comments from anybody not signed up? Okay, thank you. Move on. Okay. Next up, we have our student board representatives. Woo. All right, Olivia, you are up.
So the high school would like to share, students that take CTE courses have the opportunity to participate in career and technical student organizations, CTSO. These national organizations offer students a wide range of leadership, service, and competitive experiences. Students in the school's medical interventions course take part in HOSA, or Future Health Professionals, CTSO. 5 SHS students participated in the state virtual HOSA conference this year. Each student participated in 3 events. Madeline Pickens placed 3rd in the state in an event called Clinical Specialty. Clinical Specialty is an event for students that want to explore a specific healthcare profession that is not included in the other HOSA events. Madeline chose to research the job of oncologist. She had to research the profession, interview an oncologist, and film herself completing a lab technique the oncologist would perform. Placing 3rd in the state means that Madeline qualified for the International Leadership Conference for HOSA. Any other year, Madeline will get to fly to Orlando for her presentation, but this year she will present virtually. Stay tuned for an update on how she did in late June. The Swim Middle School would like to share their students are taking advantage of the opportunity to participate in school activities outside the school day. As you know, they are keeping their A and B groups separated, but students are taking advantage of the opportunities. Right now, volleyball and flag football are putting smiles on many of our students. Sports is not the only opportunity. Some students stay after class for club-like activities that include fly fishing club, Harry Potter, and fandom along with our launch and green team. This week, the 8th graders will be meeting with the counseling team from the high school during ELA classes for the registration information about transitioning to their high school. If you wander onto their campuses tomorrow, you might notice some funky masks, funky socks, and mismatched shoes on their students. Don't worry, this is just their leadership class having some hybrid spirit day fun with their students. And okay, they did not get a report today, but I have plans next week to meet with the leadership class just to see kind of where they are. So at our next board meeting, I will share that. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Does anybody know this Madeline Pickens is?
Wow.
Wow.
I might know her a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, congratulations to her.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right, thank you so much. All right. Next up, Alyssa, goodbye.
Okay, so LaGray would like to share that our building administrators and PTA are working together for this year's Teacher Appreciation Week. The theme is the Survivor Show. Stay tuned for details. School pictures are coming to LaGray Elementary on May 11th for DAA schedule and May 13th for BB schedule. 100% remote students can come in for pictures from 8 to 9 a.m. should they choose. The middle school counselors came to our building last week to register our 5th grade graders for middle school. Hope and excitement are still alive and well in these young scholars. 5th grade registration is due on April 29th to the Graywood Elementary office. And Helen Keller would like to share that we successfully completed a modified lockdown drill today. Looking forward to celebrating National School Principal Day on Friday. This one will be particularly meaningful since it will be our last chance to celebrate our current principal. And there is a Teacher Appreciation Week coming up the first week in May. This will be another opportunity for us to recognize and celebrate all that our teachers do. Thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, next up, we have our regular board communication. Director 2, we'll let you start off for us.
Great, thank you. Just a quick sound check.
Gotcha.
Okay, all right. Well, just a couple things. I'm sorry I can't be there tonight, but it's heartwarming to see our student reps there in person. That just makes me feel a little closer to normal. I do want to give a shout out to Bo and the tech department for getting this set up. This is exciting to see what this hybrid model can look like. And as you know, I've been a big proponent of wanting to virtualize our meetings pre-COVID for the benefit of the unprecedented attendance we've enjoyed during this period. Equal to that is our public comments. It again just feels like a little bit closer to normal. So thank you for that. I don't really have a whole lot outside of that. I know our ledge rep will definitely have some details to share about the legislative session and all the sausage making therein. So I'm excited to hear about that. I know there was a lot of wins and losses along the way, but a lot of good work done. So it would be remiss not to just double down on the statement made earlier about the loss of Kurt Grinnell. I mean, not only a school district graduate, but great-grandson of a notable chief in the area and an integral part of the tribe, which we value the partnership with, but really just a great guy. You know, he and I didn't always see eye to eye on certain things, and I always valued his calm demeanor and openness to hearing different perspectives, aligning where those opportunities could be, and just heartbroken along with so many other people about this untimely loss and its impact to our community. I think the executive committee has probably already acted on this, but would otherwise just encourage them to reach out on behalf of the board with our condolences and just whatever way you see fit to lift Kurt up and his family during this difficult time. But the cruelty of death is the world won't stand still for it, but as close as we can to just honor and recognize him as such a valuable community member, I would implore us to. And that's all I have tonight. Great to see everyone.
Great, thank you, Brian. Director Jeffries.
Yeah, I would, you know, Brian's comments about the tribe's loss and our loss as a community. Very sorry to hear about that. Also, it's great to see student reps live and in person. I think this is the first time I've seen Elisa live and in person. Talked to her and interviewed her when she got the job, and so welcome both students. It's great, like it. Also, having live public comment. We haven't had that in a year. So you did great. So thank you very much. Also, Bo and the tech people, I think they're fantastic. Brian, I'll be interested to maybe get your feedback later on about how you are receiving and hearing all that goes on here. So just to get a sense of how well our technology is working. So if you can hear us, then the public can hear us too, and that's good. And I did send along a PDF of slides. I sent in on a called the National Association of Parliamentarians for their April Parliamentarian Law Month. And a person from Jurassic Parliament, Ann McFarland, gave a great summary and of parliamentary procedures, and I sent that along. There's probably a couple slides in there that maybe we need to tighten up on or be reminded of. But it was a great presentation, and in the future, if we think we need somebody to come in and talk about parliamentary procedures in general, she would be a great resource. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you. Sometimes those Robert rules are like, what am I supposed to do next?
This was a good summary. Didn't really get into like the nitty gritty details, but it is pretty much how we should run our meeting.
So, thank you. All right, Director Stopper.
Yes, good evening. It is great to be back in semi real world again, and students, it is good to see you on other events and this. So thank you for your input on legislation, and Lydia, thanks very much. For our public that's here, you are the first, so thank you for being, and you did great. At our last meeting, we were trying to figure out this Hootie the Owl, here's how that works, and hopefully we've improved on that. So just a couple items. I attended the audit entrance brief this past week. Everything's pretty standard, but it's all being done virtual. So a question I forgot to ask, what is that cost difference? Because in the past, we're assessed transportation and stuff like that, and but it's just they're doing it all virtual, and but standard package. They're reviewing the 2019-20 school year and all that it applies with financial and accounting data. So nothing that out of the ordinary. And then next up, I attended a safety meeting. One of those committees, we were divided up into committees with the strategic plan. And so I followed one of that safety security one. I think it was very timely on part of the discussions, because we're currently looking at several policy items that fall under that swim lane of safety. And so it gave those folks that are the boots on the ground to provide their input, and then helps us when it gets up to the board level on those decisions. Nothing out of the ordinary there, but I was glad I was able to attend. I hadn't been able to because of other work, and so I was like, hey, I got Thursday off. I can be there. So thank you, Superintendent, for making sure I was still there. Next up, legislative items. So the 2021 session just ended yesterday on time. Didn't have to go on any extended days. And I sent out some items today that talked about the budget. There's one spreadsheet that breaks it down between what the governor had first proposed, and then how, as Director Koo referred to, the sausage was made to get to the final approval budget. Don't have all the great details. There will watch for emails on Friday when the WASA staff will be doing their in-session overview. There is a legislative rep meeting tomorrow at noon, which anybody can sign on to and get some of the details. I will point out on the capital budget, there's a lot of opportunities there for grants, healthy schools, healthy students, There's a FFA, Future Farmers grant. So I would just encourage colleagues here and staff to look at those availability, and because we use that healthy school one in the past. So from there, on the national level, the National School Board Association has a advocacy seminar outreach 8th and 10th of June. And it's real similar to our Day on the Hill locally. So there's the Day on the Hill in Washington, D.C., but it will all be done virtual. And so I encourage colleagues to sign up for that. I would like to attend myself as the board lecturer. And then the last item I have is the WASDA Equity Conference, which is May 18th and 19th, which is another great opportunity since we are taking a hard look at all our programs under that equity lens. And then finally, it looks like that the flamboyance of flamingos have done their yearly migration here to swim, a tradition since 2006. And it was to wake up this morning and walk out and go, oh, they're here. So thank you, seniors, or however that transpired. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Stoffer. Director Biggin?
All right, echo a lot of what my fellow colleagues have already said. But I was also able to attend the audit entrance briefing with Director Stoffer, so pretty standard, I would agree. But and let's see, attended the WASDA regional meeting last Monday, 19th.
Oh, yes,
last Monday. Yeah, and that was very, very insightful. Just there's a lot of breakout groups and some discussion that, you know, it's just interesting to see that a lot of other board directors and other districts are kind of in the same place we are with both things that we've learned over this past year, but also looking in the looking at moving forward and where we go from here and how to prioritize things from here. So that was very insightful. And also, I'm very excited that there wasn't an extended session with the legislature at the point, because I think the most important thing right now, we've got so much work to do, all school districts across the state with planning how we move forward. And all eyes are looking towards the fall and making sure that we prioritize getting kids back in school for the full day, 5 days a week. And I feel like making sure to wrap up this session on time will give us the necessary time to plan how we move forward. So I was very happy to see that, and some preliminary information. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of resources coming towards school districts. So I'm very hopeful that we'll put that to good use and get some consistency back for all of our students and their staff and everybody involved. So I'm optimistic. So very optimistic. I know there were some other things passed, some capital gains taxes and things passed, which looks like that might be directed possibly towards schools as well. So there's a lot of promising things in the future. So pretty excited to hear about that. And just the only other piece, just thank you, Olivia, for saying that about my daughter. I'm just very, very proud of her. I'm very sad that she doesn't get to make the trip down to Olympia, but nonetheless, or down to Orlando, Olympia, but Orlando and
Same thing.
yes, sir. Very good. Hey, it's southwest or southeast. But proud that she was able to share that honor and represent the swim school district well. So goosebumps talking about it now.
Yeah.
Proud dad here, so glad that was mentioned. That's it for me.
All right, great, thank you. Yeah, not a whole lot, echo a lot of what my fellow board members have said. I did find it interesting, attending the regional meeting, and we were in strong support from our from our area. I think, was there any other superintendents?
I don't think so. I didn't see any other superintendents
Yeah, I
there,
didn't think so either.
from our area. I mean, no, I didn't.
Yes, actually, Frank from Quilty.
Yes.
Okay.
So Jefferson County was represented.
Yeah. We had, what, 4 of us together in here. We're there. And so great representation. And I know when we were getting ready to do the breakout sessions, like, I hope we all end up in the same room. But anyway, it was good, and it was good to just kind of, as I said, see, the same struggles that everybody else is having. You kind of know that, but it's good to kind of hear and talk through some of those things. So that was interesting. I want to thank my fellow board members that did attend the audit. I was just, it was a swamped week for me, and I had it looking at my calendar and ended up in a conversation with a staff member and looked back and, oh my goodness, I'm 10 minutes late. I jumped on and I seen, 3 of you on there, and I thought, okay, I don't need to be here. I'm out. So thank you for taking care of that. I appreciate that as well. Other than that, yes, it's good to see our reps and to actually meet Melissa face to face in person. You both done a wonderful job this year and appreciate it. And I know that Olivia, you're on the countdown to graduation here, and Alyssa right behind her for the end of the year. We were just talking about that, and with our daughters, kind of looking at that last, 2 months, month and a half left. So we're on the final countdown to this year and looking forward to the next school year. It'll be exciting to kind of see what that brings moving on. So, thank everybody for all the work you're doing. Thank you both for getting this together, and sounds like it's working pretty well today. So appreciate all the hard work. All right. Thank you. And thank you to our speakers today. You did wonderful. Yeah. It's good to have.
Nice to have the public comment.
Yes, I know. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next up, we have our finance and enrollment.
All right. Good evening. How is everyone?
Good.
Good. Okay. So I'm going to start by going over our fund balance report. And the fund balance report is as of March 31st, 2021. And it covers all 5 of our funds. And Tracy's got that up on the screen. And so I'm just going to summarize the ending fund balance as of March 31st. So in the general fund, you can see $1,406,058.19. Capital projects has $616,321.10. Debt service fund has $69,755.47. ASB $337,081.85. And transportation vehicle fund has $629,105.72. And so general fund, you will see a big bump and a big increase in our ending fund balance after April because of local levy dollars that will start to come in. They've already started to come in, but you'll see a big bump, probably similar to last year, where it bumps it up to a large ending fund balance, and then let's see that there. Capital projects fund, the $660,000 will be used to put a new roof on Gray Wolf Elementary, and we're in the process of getting that all set up, and the purchase orders have already been done, and KCDA will have one of their vendors come and do a roof out at Gray Wolf. So that's great. Debt service fund is just going to stay just like it is for right now. ASB, we're hoping that as we are able to be more back in person, that more student body fundraisers and activities will start to happen, and we'll see more activity in that fund. And transportation vehicle fund is it's just it's there in case we need to purchase new buses, or if buses have large issues, that need new big things like new engines or transmissions that would come out of that fund. So that's where that's sitting right now. Is there any question on that report?
I think my, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you answered my question. When I first saw the ending fund balance, it did kind of catch my eye based on how low it was getting. And mind you, I'm not usually the type to get too concerned when it gets low. Let the record show, it's like concern. Doesn't have to be. But I think you answered that question.
Yeah. As soon as local levy dollars start to come in, then it increases, and it was the same last year also. And if you'd like that comparison for next meeting, I can sure do that.
Yeah, it just seemed low in proportion to our.
It is very low, and don't forget that it's very low because our enrollment is so much lower. So the adjustment of apportionment is also included in that. So there's a few different factors that make it look like our ending fund balance is incredibly low. But our enrollment does play a part in that. Okay, our general fund activity report. That's the next part of what our budget status reports usually look like. And so then it breaks out what our revenues are for the year, actuals, and also for the month. And then it tells us where we are as far as percentage at the end of March. And we're at 53.10% of what we projected our revenues would be. And we have 5 months left rather than 6, so we're a little behind, but we're over halfway. So we're not in too bad of shape right now as far as where we are with our revenues. Our expenditures, when those are broken down, don't forget we have encumbrances, and a lot of that is benefits, salaries, open purchase orders that we know we're using throughout the school year. And so between our actual expenditures of $23,953,818 and our encumbrances of $14,596,967, we're at about 93% of our budgeted expenditures. And so a reminder, at our second board meeting in May, we will have 2 resolutions that are budget extensions for both capital projects fund and general fund. And that is because we were able to receive ESSER dollars, COVID funding through the federal system, and that was not put into budgeting. So we've been able to be spending more than we thought we would. And so we need to make sure we do an extension to help us while we're using COVID dollars. Okay, let's go on to the general fund summary. Let's see, the general fund expense summary by object. Okay, this report is just broken down. This is like how the bottom of the old spreadsheet that I used to give you guys. This is the bottom of that spreadsheet. This is broken down so that you can see certificated salaries, classified salaries, benefits for everyone, supplies and materials, purchase services. Purchase services are like contractual services, or if we were to have someone come work on the septic system, paying that person for working on our septic system, things like that. That's what goes into that category. Travel, and then capital outlay. And so between what we've spent year to date in our outstanding encumbrances, we're at 93% of what we budgeted for the school year. All right, and then let's go to the last report. In this report, you did not receive with your other reports. This report is it takes a long time to do this report, and it's really cumbersome. And so I didn't finish it until today, but this one breaks out every category. So we're talking every single activity, as far as like if things were sent out of the business office or human resources or teaching, which is, you know, basic ed, whatever it is, this is where this breaks out those expenditures, and it compares it to March 31st, 2020. So it's just gives you a lot of information, and you can kind of compare it to where we were last year, remembering that salary and benefit is increased due to salary increases, and the benefit increases due to whatever increases there might be in the percentage for retirement, or what sub the cost of sub, which is our insurance through the state, costs this year compared to last year. Do you have any questions on any of these reports? It's just a lot of information.
So, Darlene, can you bring up that last report again? Oh, there it is. So if I'm looking at column D compared to column B, that would give me a gauge as to about where we are compared to this year compared to where we were last year. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. And so let's just take board of directors. So you can see last year it was at 86,000, and this year it's at 107,000. So remember in board of directors, it's everything like everything that we have to pay for putting anything on a voting ballot. It has to do with all of the costs associated with being audited, with all of the costs associated with, you know, all of our legal fees that we pay monthly, whether it has to do with negotiations or with, you know, anything that's hanging out there. Those kinds of things. So you can see, you know, last year it was at 86,000, this year at March, and it's at 107,000. So that's the kinds of things for that. Okay. Do you have a question on a specific line that I could try to answer?
So if I'm looking at teaching 27, it looks like it's even though there has been some salary improvement there, it's still about even. Is that because staffing is less?
It probably is due to just keeping a closer watch on staffing. Due to enrollment, we probably do not have the staffing that we would have had in the 1920 school year. And so that's probably exactly right. And then benefits also within that.
And then I see instructional technology is significantly higher, which one would expect given everything.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. And even though those expenditures might be reimbursed by COVID or ESSER dollars, we're still going to see it as an expenditure in that coding system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great report, so excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have to build a report, so it makes it a lot easier. It took me like 2.5 hours to do this report because you have to just pull for each activity code. It takes a really long time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the reports? Okay, we'll go to enrollment. And so on enrollment, Tracy was good enough that she put this on a spreadsheet for us. And so if you were to compare April of 2019-20 to April of 2020-21, you can see the difference there. I think it's like 309 FTE between the 2404 and the 2714. And so you can see how much our enrollment has dropped and a lot of it is due to COVID. And and then if we were going to look at the 18-19 school year compared to the 2021, the drop is 295. So we're right around 300 less FTE over the last couple of years than what we're used to from then to now. So I'm hoping that as we get back to a more normal school year, I hope our enrollment drops. So last April, it looks like the state calculated those numbers. So, and that would have been a completely accurate. Tracy just let me know that. But yes, those numbers definitely were calculated last year. So, there were a lot of how should we calculate to do funding for transportation and for apportionment. So the numbers are skewed just a little bit. Okay, Brian, I see you have a question.
Wow, the technology works. And this may not be a good time for it, but kind of a question for Jim is anything related to that 300 FTE drop and any sort of hold harmless funding that may have made it through the machine in the past few days? That's kind of an open-ended question, but just wanted to toss it out there in the parking lot.
In my understanding, was that there was some enrollment stabilization.
There was some enrollment stabilization, but I don't know if we know what it is precisely.
Okay.
There's a email that I just got in from WASDA, and I'll share out after our meeting here, and it has some updated spreadsheets. So
Okay.
I'll share it out after we're done here. After I've had a chance to look at it too.
I think there was some not that this, well, sort of relates, there's also some transportation stabilization funds as well that might be, but it's nuanced, I think, the way that it applies different districts differently, so of course.
There is a, tomorrow, and Superintendent probably knows about this, but there's at 2 p.m. there's a OSPI statewide COVID update and collaboration webinar, and we'll learn in that how each district information will roll out. And I'll send that out with this email I got.
I believe, Mr. Chair, can I add something there? I don't want to speak to it to know for sure, but I believe there might be some, even though there's some stabilization there, there's something where it's tied to the ESSER funds that the districts might already receiving, because that's driven off the Title I formula. Right. So it might not be as great, but we're going to get the ESSER funds too, so it might work out, but I know there's some strings regarding how much, because some districts were winners versus losers on the ESSER funds. So yeah, I think that's why it's nuanced. So, but hopefully in the next week or so, in a couple of weeks, we'll know.
Yeah, session just ended yesterday, so it'll take a while for the facts to filter down and figure out what happens.
Great question, though, Dr. Koo. That was going to be my exact question. If there was any thoughts on how the impacts of that might play out.
All right.
All right. Sorry about that. Any other questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, well, I have one last thing. I know that Director Jeffries was wanting us to report on federal dollars. You know, like we get the state timber and then there's federal dollars. And so I was just going to give a little bit of report on what we have received. And so in 1920, we received $115,826.50 of federal forest dollars. And right now, year to date, we have not received any federal forest dollars for the 2021 school year. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that to Director Jeffries because he was wanting to know that information.
All right.
All right, and we're in the middle of a state audit right now, and so we are gathering a lot of information that they want, and it's different. It's remote this year, and they will not be visiting us unless there's some reason that they need to come for the day. So we're uploading a lot of information through a special portal that they have that's all secure in case they are asking for information that might have a student or employee name on it. And they think that they'll be done with our audit by the end of May, and there might be some parts of our audit that are going to June, but we are working on just providing them all of the documents that they need, just uploading them into the system and sending them forward to the state. So we'll see how that goes. And that's all I have tonight.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next up, we have superintendent's report. Dr.
Yes.
John.
Well, first of all, I also would like to mention Kurt Grinnell, and I just have a fun story. When I was doing the levy rounds virtually, when I went to the tribal council meeting, he was so gracious and so nice to the district and so excited to get the word out about passing the levy. So I just wanted to mention that it was just a real pleasure working with him. And I knew his daughters from Port Angeles, and so I'm very sad for the whole family. Some fun things that have happened though in the last few weeks. I've gone to all the schools at least twice, and I've talked to students about what their pictures are for next year, how do they envision coming back to school, and without a doubt, all of them want to come back full time. 5 days a week, all day long. And I asked them what they liked most about their school, and probably 98% of them, the first answer out of their mouth was their teachers, which I also thought was very cool. The second thing was recess because they have their friends. So it just goes to show in my small little sampling that we just need human connection. So that's been really fun. And also today I was at the high school, and I was in Ms. Janae's class while they were dissecting pigs, literally these little tiny real baby pigs. And it was fascinating. I found out where the gallbladder was and where the liver was, and they dissected and got the liver out and showed where the gallbladder. I would highly recommend that if you have an opportunity to go to that class. It was really quite good. I also sat with the Port Angeles superintendent and with Gary Smith, and we did scholarship notebooks for the Howler Foundation, which was really fun. We will be giving out 8 scholarships from that foundation when it's scholarship time throughout the county. I think Swim gets 4, and well, let's see, they get 3, and Port Angeles gets 3, and then there were 2 others, I think. Anyway, I also went to the WASDA meeting, so I won't belabor that, and the district safety committee meeting. We are in the throes of our fall back to school planning with the template that came out from the state, in addition to the logistics that have come out from the county health department, and melding the two and seeing how we can figure it out. We are having a parent Zoom meeting on May 6th at 6 o'clock at night. And I will be putting that word out towards the end of this week and the beginning of next week so that parents can come and just listen to our tentative plans. And we will be sending out surveys to parents to find out after they hear what our plan is, whether they want to send their students back to school or whether they want to keep them home remotely next year. But we will be asking people for a commitment because we need to staff. And The way that the state has it set up right now is if you are going to be remote for the 21-22 school year, you will be an ALE student, which is different than what they did this year. This year, if you were remote, while we were in school and you decided to stay remote 5 days, you were still considered a full-time student. An ALE student is not a full-time student unless they take a certain number of credits, and so it's just very different. So parents can make that choice. We will offer a remote option. We're in the throes of seeing what that looks like in K2. So right now we're offering 3 through 12 in DVS, but K2 is a little bit different. So lots of plans are going on there. I also attended the state auditor entrance meeting, which was much shorter than the first meeting we had with the auditor. That went on for quite a while. And I'm pretty excited. Next Monday at 5 o'clock, between 5 and 5:50, we are going to be having an equity workshop. And I have done some research, and there is a consulting group. I have asked all kinds of people from all districts who they have utilized, and the people that will be coming to us, and I spent quite a bit of time on the phone with them today. It's called Developing Democracy, and the two presenters will be Henderson Carlisle and Jennifer Wiley, and they do diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And they start with the belonging and working with our staff and our board. And then they work back to the equity piece, because their philosophy is if you don't feel like you belong and we don't set that stage for you, we can't have those courageous conversations. So they're going to come and explain all of that next week and do some work with us. I'm pretty excited about it because it really dovetails with the Dare to Lead that we're doing with the professional development with our admin team. So anyway, so they will be coming. Let's see. The parliamentary PowerPoint that Director Jeffries talked about will be in your weekly update. I got it over the weekend. I can send it early if you'd like. I just have a file for a weekly update, and I thought I would put that in there. Let's see. I think that's it. I'm busy.
All right, great. Sounds like some good stuff going on.
Yes.
Awesome.
Can I
Yeah,
ask a
absolutely.
question? Is some of the planning that's going to take place in the fall? I know that they've allowed for the state of Washington anyway to defer the testing window. So is that part of the planning too? Is how that testing window is going to work for our schools in the fall now versus when it was in the spring, or is that?
Yes. Well, so what so thank you for bringing that up. So what happens in the fall is if you're a fourth grader, you will be tested on the third grade test that you would have had this spring. And then you'll take the full battery again in the spring as a fourth grader. So as we're planning, yes, that is part of the discussion, because if we don't come back full time, we're going to have to plan for that because testing takes an exorbitant amount of time. If we do come back to that, it will just fall in line with the days that we're here. But we're also talking about, because we have enough computers not doing one-to-one, and whether we're going to be able to send those home as students or whether we want to keep them here at school, because we finally are going to have enough machines so that all students can have a one-to-one. So that will also eliminate, I think, some of the time that those tests will take because we're not having to borrow each other's carts. So lots of good things have happened.
All right, anything else? Okay. Okay, next up, we have board business, and first up is approval of resolution 5/2021, emergency waiver graduation credits.
Yes, can I just speak to this?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, what this is, and it only goes through August 31st of 2021, it's for seniors that were on track to graduate when we all shut down for the pandemic in March of 2020, but have not been able to finish all of their classes and won't by August 31st. And you can waive up to 4 credits. Now, only 2 of them can be core credits and the other 2 can be CTE credits. So there's a special process that they'll have to apply, and there's a group at the high school that will decide. And we did coordinate it with Port Angeles, so it's very similar with what Port Angeles is doing at their high school as well.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second? Okay, any any discussion on this?
Looks like.
Director Coon?
Thank you, sir. I guess a question, and this is speaking to my ignorance about, I mean, obviously, well, not obviously, I approve of the motion and looking forward to seeing it through, but I'm concerned and ignorant to what is happening on the other side of higher education as far as students. We're making accommodations here. Is that something, Jane, you might be able to speak to, or if not, we can reserve for another conversation. But as as like two other directors, my own FTE is nearing senior year, and so I don't like the idea of accommodations, but I also recognize this is an extraordinary period. Is there accommodation being made on the higher ed side of things to where our students aren't going to be, I guess, veritably penalized for these waivers?
Well, that's a really good question, because I think the answer depends on the higher education institution, because what we have been told in the waiver that, the information that we received on the waiver is that it could possibly be a detriment to getting into the school that you want to get into because you don't have 24 credits. So there are some, though, that are making accommodations, and there are others that are not. And I think it depends on the institution. So that is one of the items. Thank you for bringing that up. It's actually in the Sequim High School graduation waiver, not resolution, but in the actual waiver paperwork that we'll send home with students, is that is one of the cautions that we are telling students. If you opt to go this way, you need to understand if you go to college, they may make you take these classes, or they may make you take remedial classes, or they may do something to mitigate the fact that you don't have these credits, these 2 core credits. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good question, Brian.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I'd obviously very supportive of this. It's, certainly have no, folks that were on track to graduate should not be penalized based on everything that's happened. I do know that from the last WASDA call that there was a bill that they were trying to push through that did have a little bit of flexibility with the whole core 24 thing, particularly where it has a negative impact specifically on students that may not be able to be here for like a 0 period day, where there's no leniency there. So my understanding is that unfortunately didn't pass this year, but might be just something for us as a board to keep on our radar for the next session to see what we can do, just because this is such a critical time for these students, and we can still run a competitive program that still has a lot of rigor without it being that 24 spots. It's very problematic. So
yeah.
Slightly not directly related, but just want to add that.
And can I just say one more thing? One of the other things that we're doing at the high school is if a student has an IP, which is an in progress, which is it's not quite an incomplete because they're still in progress, we are holding classes after school, and we are providing transportation for those students so that we can get them caught up. We are doing everything in our power that we know that we are offering students, so that if they have, if they are just short a little bit from a class, or they just need, extra tutoring or something, we are providing those services in the afternoons as well. And that's part of what we're using some of our ESSER funds for. And we're also transporting them, because we just did not want that to be a barrier either. So hopefully we'll get all those kids across the finish line at the end of their senior year.
As this resolution right here only really is concerning this current.
That would be correct. It does not, it expires on August 31st, 2021. So students that are graduating have up until August 31st to graduate with their class.
Do we have any kind of indication of you know, how many kids may be affected by that?
I don't think we do, because kids have to apply for it. I mean, probably the high school counselors have an
Yeah.
idea who would be a good candidate for it. But I haven't asked that question yet.
Okay.
I wanted to see how
Yeah.
far we could get with the IP, tutoring and the after-school program to see if we can get those students caught up, because that's really our ultimate goal.
All right. Director Stopper?
Yeah, from the Federal Relations Network, folks, what I've been seeing is a lot of high-level discussions in that area, which would be good points to bring up at that National School Board Association Day on the Hill coming up. Some of the things I've seen is that our Washington schools, universities, they're doing things like they're already waiving ASVAB scores and SAT scores, and that network of Northwest colleges, because they having a daughter that graduated in 2012, there's that network between Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, Montana, type things where you can transfer between them. But great conversation, and question I think I might ask my niece who teaches down in Texas and what they're doing down there, and then another niece that teaches in North Carolina. And they're high school teachers.
Right, great.
Just for my own knowledge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Olivia?
This is coming from a senior perspective. but,
Yeah.
Like the PE waiver had changed last year, and I know that there was a lot of students that didn't get the opportunity to be able to do the traditional way that we were taught freshman, sophomore year. So there's a lot of kids that like don't have that PE, that second year PE credit. Is that fall under the CTE?
You know, that's a really good question, and I don't know the answer to that, Olivia. I wish I did, but I don't. Because they're talking about 2 core credits and 2 CTE credits, and I don't think PE falls under either one of those, if I'm not mistaken. And there are other ways to get your PE credit. There are waivers for that, and those are still in place.
It does prompt another question, which is, you know, were there limited opportunities to get those waivers because the normal waivers, I think, have to do with sports, right?
Mhm.
But where there were some limited sports, obviously.
Right.
So it's kind of like,
So maybe that falls under the core credit part, that's a really good question, and I will check with the principal tomorrow.
Okay. We had a lot of conversation. Did we get a motion yet?
I think we didn't move.
Second, right. Okay, all right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, I think, that's full load. All right, good deal, thank you. Next up, we have just first readings on our policies from last week. So is any questions or anything that stands out that anybody wants to look at and readdress?
It was interesting as I read it's just a thought it's coming from the teacher perspective. As I read the student incentives policy, the 3515, it just probably doesn't have anything to do with policy, but just the perspective that while I agree with the statements that are in there, I don't know that it's not always about incentives when it comes to kind of prompting that. And there's even a part of me that wondered if somehow that should be captured within there, that it's not just about prizes and awards, because we strive at all educators to motivate students intrinsically as well. So it just, I don't know, the tone of it just kind of seemed, again, I know it's a policy, but as I read through that one in particular, I was like, it's not all about just the awards and prizes. We like to, as educators, pride themselves in being able to motivate students in additional ways as well, just that intrinsic motivation. So just a comment from my perspective.
James, was there any feedback from the safety committee, from the other folks in attendance on any of those policies?
No. Mm-mm.
All right. Anybody with anything for the good of the order? Director Koo.
Thank you, sir. If this may save me an email, but just some quick feedback on the interface tonight. Audio is near perfect. I can hear everyone clearly. Second row is a little bit tougher to hear, but still comes in very well. The OWL interface is fantastic as it shifts from speaker to speaker. The pixelization of the video is somewhere between a Super Nintendo and a Nintendo 64. But I can see very clearly that our beloved superintendent has a fabulous mask on. So it is very well. Kudos to the tech team that set this up, and really appreciate it. This is great.
Thanks for being our guinea pig out there in the field, Brian. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? All right. If nothing, this has been fun tonight. I've enjoyed being able to be in person and get to see each other and hang out. And as Brian said, thank you both for the good work of getting this together. And all right. If that's it, meeting adjourned.
All right.
Yes, thank you, Bo. This was so much better than the